Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is you're watching this. Welcome. Oh, at least not going to. You gonna say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening? No, just ears perked up. Okay. Oh, there he goes. Say hello. Say hi. Love him. All right. How was your week? Anything interesting? Were you busy this week? Sean was a little busy. He had a few cases. But did you do anything fun? We took Bentley to the park yesterday. It was a little chilly. It was funny. The sun was out. We get to the park. As soon as we got to the park, the sun went behind the clouds, and it was very windy, so it got a little chilly. We walked around, and then when we got in the car, got home. As soon as we got home, the sun came out from behind clouds again. So yes, Murphy is best friend. Anyways, it's actually it is. We have a wintry mix right now. Previous videos I talked about how we didn't get much snow. Typically in this area, we get between 24 to 36 inches of snow in the winter, and we've only gotten 2, if that. So, anything to get the ground wet, right? Before fire season starts. Anyways, I also went to this book club yesterday, in this really cute tea shop. It was really, but it's interesting. We were talking about connections and making connections. Is the whole concept of the book club. But so we were talking and everything, and like sometimes like you just need to talk things out and just get things out of your system. Just need to talk, just need to vent. We were talking about embrace your power. And so have you ever held something in, and then finally when you just vented or just got it out, you just felt so much better. Even if it's just screaming to get it out, you felt so much better. And so, you're in a little bit different boat. Well, I should say everybody to some degree is, right? When you go to talk to somebody about what's going on at work or what you're dealing with, things that you're going through, sometimes unless they're in the industry, a lot of times they really don't quite understand what you're understand. They think you're crazy. They think, oh, you're just so-and-so. I don't understand. You get to play with puppies and kittens all day, etc. Right? I don't understand why you're so tired. All this other stuff, right? Not really knowing what you go through. And even to some degree, sometimes people who do your schedule don't quite understand. Upper management, sometimes depending on where you work, or what I say where you work, but what clinic type of clinic situation you work in. So GP, urgent care, specialty hospital, emergency clinic, depending on that. Sometimes admin doesn't understand, right? People upstairs who aren't on the floor with you, a lot of times they don't understand because a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind, right? And then of course when you go talk to them and try to explain it to them, they look at you like you have 3 heads, or sometimes 2. I would say even a different class of people. So for example, there's this one where the employee went in and talked to the manager. Well, the manager came from money, and the employee's like, "You're not paying enough. I can't even get by." And she's like, "Oh, I don't understand. You're making X amount of money." And they're like, "No, let me show you the spreadsheet." because the thing was because the manager had came from money, they never really had to know what it was like to try to make ends meet. Student loans on top of bills, and of course with inflation and things going up, they never had to really understand what it was like to experience that. And so it was interesting, though it did get the employees a raise. But still, my point being is sometimes they just don't understand. Sometimes too, you just need to talk and not necessarily need somebody to understand. Like, you just need to get it out. I know, so in that case, like, find someone that you can talk to that you trust and just be like, hey, I just need a vent. Like, I don't need advice. I just need a vent. And like, start, and so you can just talk to them and get it out. Now, I would recommend, if you have that one friend that always likes to give advice, or sibling, or whoever you're speaking with that likes to give advice, don't use them, because they're going to find a way to give advice. Or you could tell them, hey, if you have advice to give, write it down, and just write it down, and you can read it later or whatever if you want to or whatever. But tell them to write it down. Don't tell you, just to write it down. Sometimes I know, like, Sean will come in and vent. He's like, I just need to vent, and he'll start venting. And then I'll start venting with him about whatever the situation is, right? And so it's funny. So, because Sean's really good at what he does. And no, I'm not just saying that because I'm his wife. Like, he is a really good doctor. He really cares. He likes to find the root of the problem. And he really empathizes with the animals and what they're going through. And so I'm very protective over him. And some of his cases, like, he brings home, in a sense, not that he physically brings home the cases, but some of the cases that kind of stick with him, or he just needs to get it out. He just needs somebody to talk about with it, to get it out of the system, like how the case went or whatever. And so I'll start, like, venting with him about what's going on, and then protective over him and his feelings, and then protective over, like, his license, things that could go wrong. So very protective over him with that. So I'll start venting with him about things. And so and of course too, like, because it's someone you love, so, like, your family, your significant others, your friends that you love, you're protective over them. So you want, you don't want any harm to come to them. You don't want them to feel bad. You don't want anything, so you're protective over them. And then, God forbid, if somebody hurts them, right? So I get the same way. So I start venting like that with him sometimes. So it's kind of fun. Sometimes you turn into a whole laugh fest, like, with you venting, but it's not even your problem, right? And so, yeah, so sometimes you can do that, have somebody to vent with like that, and just get it off, and then just, like, sometimes just screaming gets it out. He's like, okay, I just need to scream. I'm not screaming at you. I'm just screaming because I just need to get this out. That helps too. Also too, like, let's talk about, like, wonder if there's no one around for you to talk to. Or you just don't want to be around anybody, right? I get it. To some degree, I'm an introvert. Sean's an introvert. The older we get, we tend to be more introverts. But sometimes we just don't want to be around people. We have our quote unquote alone time, but a lot of times we'll have our alone time together. So, like, we'll be sitting in the same room, but we'll be doing our own thing. So if you don't want to be around someone, like, that's okay, but you need to talk. And you don't even feel like talking on the phone, right? Because who does that anymore, or talks on the phone? And then, or, even video chatting. Um, reach into your inner child when you used to play Barbies or GI Joe dolls, or go out and create an imaginary world with yourself or with your friend, and you talk to other people. Reach that person, tap into that person, lay down, sit down, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you comfortable, and pretend there's a therapist next to you that you can see. You know how you always see those memes, may laying on the couch and the therapist there, and you can't really see the therapist, right? So pretend that, play therapist, or even pretend it's just a friend sitting there, and have a chat and like just talk, because the whole thing is you need a soundboard. Just get it out. Nobody will know. Who cares, right? Nobody knows that's going on unless you have cameras set up in your house. But anyways, let's hope you don't. But my point being, nobody knows, right? If you did that. But or you can always do like a voice recording if you want to do that. Talk into something. I will say, keep in mind, on your phone, with smartphones and stuff these days, there's always a possibility that someone could hear what you say. So if you don't want that, so for all you young people who don't know, they used to have these little things called a voice recorder or tape recorder, and they have little small tapes or cassette tapes that you put in there, and it records on that. So you can do that if you want to get one of those. I'm sure they still sell them. I'm sure you can find them. But yes, you have that option if you want to do that. Like if you want to savor what you talk about, if that makes sense. So yes. Or who knows? You may end up wanting to write a book later about your experience, and so you need that voice recorder, right? But yes, my whole point though is like when you have something kind of like weighing on you and you need to get it out, talking can be an option. So whether it's talking to someone or it's talking to yourself, yes, you have that option just to get it out. If you feel better. Also, too, you have you also have Lifeboat with NOMV. So that's the peer-to-peer. But the thing with that is, remember, that's like a 24-hour, 48-hour turnaround. But if you need to talk, you have that as well. Okay? So with that, NOMV, Lifeboat with NOMV, you have that if you need to talk. If you're having thoughts that are not so good, you can call or text 988 or 741-741. Talk to someone immediately. That's only if you're having thoughts about leaving this world. Okay? So you have those. So there's always someone to talk to, depending on what you need to talk about. And my favorite point, or one of my favorite poems, I should say. So it's inspired by an old poem. You may not know that the world needs you, but it does. For no one else can smile your smile, say your piece, shine your light. You are unique, and you alone can fill your place. If you were not here to shine your light, what would happen to the pilgrims passing by your empty place in the darkness? Without your light to help you on their way, you might not know that the world needs you, but it does. Remember, what you do matters, and the world is a better place with you in it, dear person's company. All right, until next week, go do something for yourself. Help yourself feel lighter. Whether it's, when I say lighter, I mean like on the inside. Embrace your power. All right, and we will see you next week.